All right, and we are live. It is Friday, the 27th of January. Got a great show for you today. What's up, everyone? Flames in the chat. Flame on. Today, I'm going to be talking about the influence of money on fact checking. And, today it's like fact checking has become so important. We look things up on our fingertips. We just want to check something. Well, we can just fact check it. And social media sites are reliant on fact checkers to decide, what they can promote and what they don't promote. We saw a lot of that over the pandemic. And the question is, there's a large flame today. The question is, are they accurate and unbiased? Because that's what we would want. But these fact checking organizations have become dependent on their funders, you know? And so are they as independent as they claim to be? Well, if they're dependent on their funders for their funders, they have their own agendas, right? And it does raise questions about objectivity and can you truly be committed to providing accurate, unbiased information? Or are these fact checking organizations just simply laundering the opinions of their donors? And so we're going to get into that today because, in the end, money talks. But that's not the only thing I want to talk about today. I want to also talk about another issue that really affects, mainstream news, but also your social media feed, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere. And that's the lack of positive news. Okay? It seems every time you go online, it's just negative, and you're just bombarded with it. Every time you scroll, you're bombarded with negativity. And I get it. There's, we're at the edge, near the cliff of World War III. And there's a lot of things that are negative out there in the world. So we need to learn about that. That's true. But the reality is that bad news sells. And we're drawn to more sensational things. And we're not drawn to, nuanced things, right? So unfortunately, the negative story gets more attention. Even this morning I got up and I looked at what was going on, and the Paul Pelosi video was out there, and that's kind of weird. And it immediately drew me to it. So I get it, but the issue with all this negative news is it gives us a skewed perception of reality, and we start to think that the entire world is a lot worse than it actually is. We get fixated on negative things and we lose sight of the positive things around us. The New York Times had This Week in Good News. That was something they used to do, and they abandoned it in January of 2019, which is too bad. But that's why it's important to have good news, is we got to balance out some of this negativity and have a more accurate view of the world. And remind yourself that there's good stuff out there, and we can have a better future. I tell you, I am more positive. I'm more optimistic right now in 2023 about me and my life, I think, than I've ever been, despite everything else that's going on. I think there's more opportunity. What an amazing time to be alive. It truly is. And I hope that I can share that with you, that you can hopefully see some of that. So I'm going to make a conscious effort going forward to try to at least bring a positive story every day to what's going on. Speaking of positive stories, I gotta show you this. Today we are going to talk about fact check bias. We're going to talk about cheetahs coming back to India, changing your biological age. Can you live to 100? Okay. But as far as positivity, look at this little monkey, right? And this is a good. It turns out well for him. He's all wrapped up in nets, and sometimes we just need a refresher after we've seen some terrible things in the news, just to cleanse our palate. And that's why I really want to at least bring one positive story to you a day, just to balance it out. It can get overwhelming with all the negativity, and that's one thing that I want to do. But look at this little monkey. Aw. Sometimes we need more awe. And at the end of the show, after the outro, I'll stick around and read your comments and maybe give you an update on a couple things. But that is going to be the show today. The big question is, can you really believe fact checkers, or are they just, or let me rephrase, can we trust fact checkers to fact check who's paying them? That's the question. I'll get to it. Hit my music. Hey, it's Fact Check Friday. I always like doing a fact check. I'm going to start off by talking about the state of fact checking and give you an example of something that's in the news today. But we're going to talk about a controversial subject, and a lot of people get triggered by certain subjects. They're just not able to have a reasonable, rational talk if it involves a certain topic. Now, with some people, that might be, I don't know, Hillary Clinton. If Hillary Clinton comes up, they lose their mind and they're not able to actually have a reasonable conversation. Maybe it's Trump. I know that I cannot talk to my mom if Trump is anywhere near that conversation, because you bring up Trump and forget it. Boom. She can't deal. She cannot be rational about that. And so we all have certain people that we can't do this. But I believe that this guy, George Soros, is someone that a lot of people cannot even talk about. You bring up George Soros and immediately you're a conspiracy theorist. You know, you're way out there. And people are not able to even have a rational discussion about him. But let's talk about what's going on. George Soros and other leftist billionaires are using their financial resources to support projects that aim to fight against opposing viewpoints. And they label that disinformation. Soros has been successful using fact checkers to censor narratives that are damaging to the left, and major fact-checking organizations have faced allegations of left-wing political bias. Additionally, Soros has provided funding to organizations that are affiliated with the International Fact-Checking Network, IFCN. And these fact checks are not impartial. Social media companies have censored information that goes against this narrative. Soros and other leftist billionaires have been working together to finance projects that aim to fight against so-called disinformation and influence the narrative in their favor. The International Fact-Checking Network is a project of Poynter Institute. It was launched in 2015 with funding from sources such as the National Endowment for Democracy, the Adyar Network, Google, Facebook, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and George Soros's Open Society Foundations. So that's the thing, is this fact-checking institution, that decides who can be an official fact checker and who isn't an official fact checker? Well, they got their funding from George Soros and Bill Gates. And if you wonder if these fact-checking organizations, if they're unbiased, well, what I invite you to do yourself is go to PolitiFact, go to Snopes, go to these places and look and see if you can find how they cover Bill Gates or how they cover George Soros. Because it's hard to believe that you could be a billionaire and not have some fact checks that were critical of you. Good luck finding them. And that tells me that these fact-checking organizations really do kowtow to who is funding them. Now, I'm going to give you an example of something today that just came up in the fact check. This is from Newsweek. Okay. Fact check, does Project Veritas video show Pfizer is mutating something? Okay. We need a name for this where they have a headline and you go to the story and then there's a video that has nothing to do with the article that you're reading. I really, that's what I want today. I want someone to come up with a good name for an unrelated video that they put on a page of the article that you're trying to read. Because I get fooled by it all the time. I'm like, oh, what's the video? And it's like, oh, this video has nothing to do with what I was interested in. So as a side note, if you come up with a clever name for these videos that have nothing to do with the article, let me know in the comments. That'd be great. But I'm not going to fact check this. This is too new to fact check. But there's a viral video purportedly shows a senior Pfizer employee talking about some experiments. And let's see how Newsweek covered this, and let's see how unbiased they are in it. Okay? So multiple claims on social media posted the 26th suggest Pfizer is currently mutating some variants in order to produce future sales, if you will. Okay? And right here, it says the facts. See, right there in red, the facts. It's worth noting that Project Veritas, which describes itself as a, quote, journalism enterprise, is a controversial organization that's previously produced investigations subsequently labeled as false or unevidenced by fact-checking and other media. Among the stories, 2017, Washington Post reported O'Keefe had tried to dupe the paper into publishing a false story of something. And in 2020, Project Veritas claimed that Representative Ilhan Omar was linked to something that I don't think I can talk about. But an investigation by USA Today found no evidence for such a scheme. And in 2021, it also claimed that New Jersey gubernatorial election did something, and PolitiFact reported it was false. So even before we get to the facts, this is all listed under the facts. Newsweek is describing where Project Veritas may have made some mistakes or been misleading in the past. Does Newsweek do that if they're covering the New York Times or the Biden administration? You know, if Newsweek is fact-checking the New York Times, do they say, the New York Times? It's worth noting that the New York Times promoted wholesale the weapons of mass destruction lie, knowingly working with Cheney's White House to promote this idea that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. That was a total lie. They knew it was a lie. And they cheered on and promoted the United States going to war. They don't do that. They just say, oh, the New York Times said this thing. But what if every time we talked about the New York Times, we talked about all the times that they were intentionally misleading? But they don't do that. And that's what shows me here is that while this may be a fact check, if you started off by a laundry list of negative things about the source, it doesn't seem to be very unbiased, because they certainly don't do the same thing for other media companies. So I think this is an interesting fact check that I can revisit once there is some more information, but that's something to keep in mind when you hear about fact checking and you go and you look at the fact checking. Boy, before we get to any facts about what they're doing, they're just running down the person making the claim. That's not what fact checking is. In fact checking, what you want to do is you have a claim, you identify the claim, and then you check to see if there's information that supports or doesn't support the claim. It doesn't matter who made the claim. That has nothing to do with it. That's not fact checking at all. So, yeah. It doesn't surprise me that that was what Newsweek was doing, but it is shocking to actually go and actually see it, you know. So my challenge for you is to pick a fact checker and look up one of their donors, or look up someone that is associated with one of their donors and see how those fact-checking organizations cover them. I'll leave it up to you who you choose, but I think it's an interesting topic that we can go further with at another date. But now, let's get on to some more positive news. All right. India is to get more than 100 cheetahs from South Africa. South Africa's reached a deal to transfer more than 100 cheetahs to India as part of an effort to reintroduce the animal into the country. An initial batch of 12 cheetahs will be flown to India next month, and 12 more will be translocated annually for the next 8 to 10 years to help establish a viable and secure cheetah population. India was once home to the Asiatic cheetah, but it was declared extinct there by 1952 due to habit loss and hunting. The transfer of the cheetahs marks the first intercontinental relocation of the animal, which is the fastest land animal on the planet. I think this is great. You know, if animals have been extinct from certain areas and they can be reintroduced into those areas, that really brightens my day to hear that. And I am glad that this is happening. Now, it's very small scale, only 12 and then 12 the next year. So not many, but starting with something. And it's been over 50 years, 70 years, I guess, since cheetahs were in India. So to start bringing them back, I think that's some good news. I'm liking it. Now this is not the right. There. Okay. Apparently I don't have my chyrons all set up right. That's okay. That's okay. Let's see if I can fix that real quick. Just get rid of that. Okay. Let's see. We go signed. Nope. Can't do that. Can't do that. Okay. No big deal. Still working on the graphics, folks. We'll see if I can get some more done this weekend. Make it even better going forward next week. I want to talk about a 45-year-old biotech CEO who who reduced his biological age by at least 5 years through a rigorous medical program. Now, Brian Johnson, biotech entrepreneur, right, tech bro, is attempting to game nature's course of aging through an intense data-driven experimental program called Project Blueprint. Now, I've actually run into this Project Blueprint. I guess they're doing a good job of getting it out in the media, because I've actually looked it up a couple times this month. I've run into it in different places. According to this recent Bloomberg profile, he's spent about $2 million on his body this year and has achieved test results that suggest he has the heart of a 37-year-old, the skin of a 28-year-old, the lung capacity of an 18-year-old. The program, led by a 29-year-old physician and supported by a team of more than 30 health experts, consists of an intense daily regimen of supplements, carefully curated meals, exercise, and regular bodily tests. His goal is to prove that self-harm and decay are not inevitable, and to encourage others to follow his program by creating a competition called the Rejuvenation Olympics. And that, so far, there's 1,700 people that are fighting against time. It's an interesting idea. I looked up being a part of this. Now, they're into looking at things that affect your genes. Can diet, exercise, sleep, all of these things. What does that play in your genetic makeup? Now, to do all this, it costs lots of money to participate in his program, and I'm sure this is just kind of a PR move to get more business. I understand that. But, 30 years ago, if you wanted to figure out, hey, how can I do things better? What'd you go to the library? You get an Arnold Schwarzenegger, book on lifting weights. That was about it. Now we have access to all of this information and programs and diets and supplements, and all of these things are now available to us. What an awesome time to be alive. And they're available to you. You don't have to go to a dusty library or pull out microfiche and try to look at studies yourself. It's all available through your computer. You can look these things up. And that's pretty inspiring. It's inspiring me. I would like to, I think if I'm going to invest any time in anything, I think investing some time into taking care of myself is probably a good investment. And you can check it out at just Google Project Blueprint. See all of the different programs that they're doing, all of the different testing. A lot of it's going to shock you on what they have found out regarding diet, exercise, sleep, supplements, all those things. I think it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. But now I want to talk about living longer, since we're on that topic. Oh, that's what I did. Sorry about that. Errors and errors and errors. Never mind. Okay. Let's, we'll just leave that there. Okay. Still working on the technical difficulties. All right, let's get to living longer. Now, experts predict that the number of people who live to be at least 100 years old, known as centenarians, will continue to rise in the coming decades. Genetics play a big role in healthy aging, but physical activity, social support, and location can influence a person's chance of living a very long life. The United Nations project says that there'll be 3.7 million centenarians alive by 2050. Some experts have suggested that genetics account for around 25% of longevity, with the remaining 75% related to a person's environment, including diet, exercise, and support system. To improve your chance of living a long and healthy life, experts recommend regular physical activity, maintaining social connections, eating a healthy diet, and having access to good health care. Of course, we know all of that, but did you know that according to experts, in this case, 75% of it is up to you. Only 25% has to do with your genetic makeup, what you were dealt at birth. But 75% of it is up to you. I think that's really inspiring. You can make changes today that can have a long-lasting impact. I know that I want to work on losing weight because I weigh too much, and I want my knees when I get older. I'd love to have my knees the rest of my life, and I feel that at my weight, probably it's not going to happen. So I need to lighten the load on my knees. That's one thing that I want to work on. My diet's pretty good. But the other thing that I want to work on is social connections. I need more of that. And, you know, even though I'm only online, I do appreciate the social connection that I have with you all that watch my video and leave comments. It really does make a difference to me. It makes a difference in my day, and I appreciate you. And so thank you very much. I do want to remind everyone that if you have watched this far, you can help me out. Hit that like button. I appreciate that. It is the only thing that we can do other than sharing this video to get my channel to grow. And I'd really like to grow the channel so that I'm able to do a better job in what I present. So thank you all very much. I hope you have a super weekend. I look forward to Monday, where hopefully I'll be able to fix some of this technical stuff and do an even better job. But yeah, that's it. I will see you after the outro. Have an awesome weekend. Peace. Hey everybody, thanks for sticking around. Apothecary John, what's up? Bastille, hello everybody. Beautiful trees in the intro. Yeah, those trees, that was at Mount Tabor Park in Portland. I like walking there. It's a beautiful, beautiful park. It's a dormant volcano in the middle of the city. Beautiful place. Flames on everyone. Don't forget to like the stream. Thank you. Twitter is not real life, says Legalese. That is true. Rev68, Eliza Blue would say that using the wrong video on the ad is the ad being human trafficked. That is funny. And if you don't get the reference, explaining jokes is never... when you explain a joke, it never gets funny. Right? If you have to explain a joke, it's not funny. So I got the joke. That was funny. Jesse says we can't count on authority fact checkers. Your Fact Check Friday has a long record on that evidence. For me, nothing beats primary sources and data. Propagandists count on people not having time. That is true. You know, so often we'll just read the headline. We don't even read the whole article. I have in the past fact-checked an article just by reading the whole thing. You know, if you read the entire article, it may actually disprove what the headline is. And it may actually contradict what was in the first paragraph. I think that's just really poor reporting. But sometimes you can fact check an article just by reading the whole thing. See, it seems that some people are getting a little buffering. The frame rate's really bad. It's almost a still image. Well, I'm sorry about that. That's what I was trying to describe, like 3 or 4 frames per minute. Yikes. Well, that's not good. I will keep going back this weekend and look at the settings and see what I can adjust to make things better. So I need a tech guy. I need an assistant. I don't know all of this myself. This is all new. And so we're sorting it out. Okay, good. My audio's been steady. Slight buffering, but not too much, says Jesse. I like the good news topics. Jesse Leon is late, but that's okay. Steady Jim and healthy food could be a big enough factor without spending the money mentioned. Yeah, you don't have to spend $2 million to fix yourself up. Just get some, I really like Brussels sprouts, but talk about inflation, right? Bag of Brussels sprouts has gone up 50% at Trader Joe's. Yeah, wow. Let's see. Knees are important. We appreciate you too. Thank you, John. And when are you live on Twitch? Brian, I'm trying to figure out Twitch. The thing with Twitch, and if you can send me an email or a DM or something, you can help me out because I know less about Twitch than anyone else. It was actually going live at noon, but then when the stream was done, it was gone. And I didn't know how to make it reappear. I feel like a total boomer, like not understanding this stuff, but I don't have anybody in my life that like is a Twitch streamer that can tell me, oh, you just got to check that one box, So ideally, I'd be going live on Twitch as well at the same time, noon on the West Coast. I did it a couple times, and then I would go back, and it would be gone. So I don't even know. I can't even see how many people watched it. So I'm still trying to figure that out. But this weekend, my goal is to really figure out some of this tech stuff. Yeah, Bastille, you're watching on Odyssey, and the live counter says 0 watching. That is odd because I've noticed that too. A lot of times I will go back and look at the analytics and I'll see, wow, nobody watched it, but maybe some people did. So if you're watching on a thing, be sure to leave a comment or hit the like button because at least that doesn't disappear and I can see that you were here. That's it. Brian says, go into settings, check save VODs. Okay, cool. That's good to know. I didn't know that. There's so much I don't know, but I'm learning more every day. I appreciate everybody's help. Together, we're going to make this an awesome channel. I really feel that this is the year 2023. It's perseverance for me. I'm really going to work at getting this show going, getting better at it, and delivering a program that you will all like and like to share. That's all I got. I hope you all have an awesome weekend. I'll see you next time. Peace.